Hey everybody, welcome to Stacking Pennies. Corey LaJoy alongside Ryan Flores. Huge show coming up today. We have Ron Capps, three-time NHRA champion, joined by Poconos winner Chase Briscoe, joining us on Stacking Pennies in the Nonsense Garage. Huge show. Buckle up. Let's go stack some pennies.
Stacking them deep, selling them cheap.
It tastes like gasoline, rubber, and victory.
We're just out here stacking pennies.
All right, everybody, we're in it. Hope y'all are having a fantastic day. Corey LaJoy here, solo in the Nonsense Garage, calling in remote from New Jersey. Ryan Flores, how's it going, buddy?
It's going great, buddy. I'm happy to be back home at the Jersey Shore. Got to do a bunch of racing this week. And, man, yesterday, though, that drive home from Pocono after a long day, a long rain delay, traffic, I was one-eyeing it on the way home.
I was one-eyeing it, too. I got back to the house like 2:15. You know.
Jeez.
It's part of it.
Hey, Amazon's Prime is done. Tell me about
We're done.
Your first 5-race stint as a broadcaster. How was it?
Yeah, I'm done being a TV guy. The rookie stripes are off of being a TV rookie. So I actually enjoyed it much more than I anticipated. There was a lot of realizations from doing that I didn't really anticipate going in, that I realized on the way out, was how big of a lift it is to broadcast a sport every week. I mean, when you have your blinders on and you're just loading yourself up in your little hauler with your little battalion of crew going from one place to the next, it's like, okay, like this is how hard it is. Buddy, there are like miles, legitimately miles of cables for cameras and all the fiber optics around that. Like the fact that stuff doesn't get unplugged and everything works how it's supposed to broadcast the race to millions of people is really unbelievable. So shout out, I believe there's about 140 people that travel on the back of the house to make that all come to reality. So those guys get tip of the cap for sure. It was really, really neat to get to know Carl Edwards. Legitimately feel like he's my older brother right now. It was really cool to work with Dale because I've never really spent a lot of time around those guys, but Carl is a stud and he processes things unlike anybody I've ever met. Very thoughtful, very prepared. So I learned a lot. And that got me even thinking of because we talk about racing all the time. We talk about how your development in whatever series or whatever's close proximity to what region you grow up really dictates what kind of a driver you become. Whether he was a dirt modified guy, right? Kyle Larson was a sprint car guy. I was a asphalt late model guy, and there's all these different ways to get to Sunday. But then when you get to Sunday, then there's tracks that lean into your strengths, and there's tracks that expose your weaknesses. So we spend hours legitimately talking about that. But what I've realized even more through this, that no matter if it's driving, no matter if it's being on TV, you're only as good as the people around you. Because if everybody around you isn't pushing or pulling the rope the same direction to ultimately have pride in their work and care about attaching their name to a outcome that everybody wants and is proud of, then ultimately it was a direct reflection on you. So for me to get my foot in the door with Prime, and they want to leave the sport in a better place than they found it, and they are serious about it, and it inherently made me look really good when I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just up there having a good time talking to my buddies and drinking some beer with Dale Jr.'s. I mean, that's all that I'm doing. But in terms of Carl, we were talking about teammates and a luxury. He didn't even realize this when he came in. He was saying to come in with, he was at Roush when they were 5. They had 5 Cup cars with his teammates were 4 Hall of Famers. Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch, Mark Martin, maybe who was the other one? Jamie McMurray.
Jeff Burton.
Jeff Burton.
He came in, he replaced Jeff Burton though.
Okay. Pull his teammates from his rookie year. But regardless, how much of a gift that would be, and you don't even realize it. Greg Biffle, are you kidding me? you have those 4 guys that can build your cars how they know they need to be built, and you just get to plug in there and go, and then you learn how those guys conduct themselves in meetings and how those guys articulate what the car is. Like, you have no choice but to either figure it out or be gone. And when it comes to a guy like Carl, or like even Joey, right? These guys just figure it out when you are pushed to have really good teammates to help you get better. And I was like, oh, man, I didn't understand the value of that when I was young because, I didn't have very many options. I had to go to BK, and you're there with other rookie guys, and you're looked at to be the leader, but you don't really know what you're looking for. And everywhere I had been previous to that was a single-car team. So I never had that surrounding accountability from other drivers. So, I'm like, oh, man.
And the
Carl
drivers
had the
are
best.
one piece of the puzzle, right? The drivers are one piece, but you can't drive a slow car fast. So he's got Robbie Reiser, and he's got Jimmy Finning, and he's got all those other people to lean on as well. Because even when you go to BK, you can lead all you want. But if the guys there don't have any data and they don't have any experience building fast cars, you're not going to drive a slow car fast.
And he came in with Roush when they were tippy-top peak Roush. Like winning, had 5 cars in the chase. So, no, nonetheless, he took it and became, I think, and Denny said it this week when they interviewed him pre-race. I thought it was super interesting. He's like, if Carl doesn't stop, he's better than me. Like, he can do special things inside the race car. And it's funny to hear Carl say, Denny could do special things. He could do magic things with the race car. So it was cool to have a little bit of a, I don't want to say a front row seat, but like a really in-depth seat to how Carl's mind works, how Dale's works, and just working with Double A and Adam Alexander and Steve Letarte. Steve Letarte, if you could, like in NASCAR career mode, build a crew chief for TV, you couldn't even build one as good as Steve Letarte is. He's really unbelievable when it comes to articulating strategy, and the way he can pull out analogies and comparisons to make people like, oh yeah, that makes sense, is like unbelievable. We had a little bit of a fun conversation this week just over dinner of like, if you had to build your ideal racing booth, what do you build? So I built a booth of Ken Squire, peak Darrell Waltrip, because peak Darrell Waltrip, I think, is awesome. You can. This is my booth. You're going to tell me.
I disagree with that. Yeah.
I think peak DW, maybe Benny Parsons. Benny Parsons was great, and Steve Letarte. I think that would be an unbelievable booth, because I think Steve Letarte would play with DW in his prime really well. What would be your favorite booth?
I would probably go. It's tough. I think my driver, I'm going Dale Jr. I like the way Dale Jr. says stuff. I like the way he breaks down the race in a simple term. I've always been a big fan of Alan Bestwick, so he'd be my kind of my host. And just for the sake of disagreeing with you, my third seat or my crew chief seat, I would go. Oh man, that's tough. Because it's hard to, like you said, it's hard to compete with Letarte.
Yeah,
I think that he does such a great job. Yeah, I'm going with Dart.
I don't know. I mean, Larry Mack's close second. Here it comes. They touch. They touch.
Yeah. I like Larry Mack too. And I think that for the time and for where the sport was, that booth was perfect. But now the sport is different, and the way that people consume stuff is different. And I think that Steve does a great job speaking to our fan base now, when Larry Mack and DW did a great job speaking to what our fan base was then.
Well, and also, like, nobody moves the needle for the sport as much as Dale Jr. Like, he deserves that responsibility, and he embraces it and owns it.
Shout out, crew chief. No big deal.
We didn't really get to lean into it like I wanted to on the pre-race show when it was rain fill, but I said, it'd be fun if we made a graphic of best crew chief winning percentages of all time, and like put like Ray Evernham, Dale Inman, Steve Letarte's like win percentage, and just put Dale Jr.'s as 100%. And it was up there, and we never got around to touching on it. It was up there for like a minute, and they just took it off. I'm like, man, I never got a chance to bring that up because that'd have been funny. But there was a tweet that was going around our group chat about Kyle Busch doing Kyle Busch things and just be like, oh, he's a warm body up there. He's just a dick.
What an absolute.
Yeah.
Like, let him have the fun. Like, why?
And
do you
also,
have to
like,
poop on that? Like,
yeah.
Well, it's a little bit awkward because we're on Riverside, but Dale Jr. doesn't have to do any of this stuff. I think that's why I feel like I've grown to appreciate him as a person.
Yeah.
He's probably made more money in the sport than anybody.
Yep.
He doesn't have to do it. He doesn't have to do the booth. He doesn't have to do TV. He doesn't have to do the car store. He doesn't have to own a race team.
He doesn't have
He
to
can literally take his money and move to Key West and hang out with his kids.
Yeah.
But he does this because he loves the sport. He might love the sport more than any of us. And
yeah,
to put himself in different positions and hear just how he feels about racing, it is refreshing. And for Kyle to poo-poo on that is so tone deaf. And it's just like such a Kyle Busch thing. Like, man, just let him enjoy it. Let him have fun. You don't have to be a about everything, man. Sorry you're running bad.
Yeah. Sorry. Just finish a race. Don't speed on pit road. You might actually have a better chance of running good. But, yeah, I mean, my man's dedication to the skeleton gloves, he's catching tires during the pit stop. He's calling them in and out of the box. Like, Dale Jr. is legitimately a national treasure.
And, rolling in the left front, that's a serious job. Like that, you can lose the race by rolling in the left front the wrong way, or something bad happening. The tire gets hung wrong, lug nuts get knocked off. That can lose you the race. So that is that's a tough job to throw him into. It's not holding a pit sign's a little bit easier.
Man, you could just tell like the elation there of how much it meant to him. And he's like to be like in the trenches, right? He's like it was a little harder than I expected because people thought that Marty Lindley's just like watching the same race and seeing the same data. He goes like he can't see. Like I'm legitimately the one making the calls. So
yeah,
he earned it. Dale Jr.'s crew chief win percentage is 100%. So attaboy, Dale Jr. And it seemed like our stage setup pre and post race was sick. Fans behind it gave it a college game day feel. Speaking of football, Ryan Fitzpatrick and Andrew Whitworth from their TNF crew also came. They had a blast. We went, started raining like 11 o'clock. Started raining fairly hard. I'm like, we got to go. I wanted to go walk down. There's this tent that these guys are cutting like the grizzly bears out of a tree trunk with a chainsaw. I wanted to go buy one of those for the studio, but they go up for auction, and I wasn't able to be back there when they went up for auction. I'm like, what's the number? Can I give you $1,500 for this bald eagle stump? Like, I need to take it with me. I can't come back. And they're like, nah, man, rules are rules. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. But we went to like the gypsy tents to like buy little tchotchke things, and they ended up buying that sun drop. I picked that. He's like, what jacket do I need to get? I said, this one right here, this sun drop jacket. Are you kidding me? This is the sickest one on the rack. And then Whitworth, he's like, I don't know anything about any of these guys, but I'm a Blaney fan because my birthday's on 12/12. So he's just a 12 car. That's my guy. And I've read that he was married on 12/12. So I'm like, all right, here's your 2X jacket. And he wore that Menards jacket all around. I snuck those guys into the garage because it was locked down for lightning hold, but I kind of like did some, got them in the hauler, got to meet some guys, and then they were in there and they were having a blast.
So I saw you in there, and I actually got to talk. They were just hanging out on pit road, and I got to talk, went up and introduced myself to Fitz. I said, hey, man. He goes, oh, stacking pennies. So he was into it. I don't know that I've realized that my level of education, shout out Manasquan High School Public School here in New Jersey, is not Harvard. Because that guy, when he was on the pre and post race show, remembering names, remembering people, he was talking about Matt Tyrrell, the gas man for the 19, and they seemed like they had a blast. And man, I'm bummed to see the Prime broadcast come to an end, because that's the type of stuff that it brought in. Those are the type of eyes that we got the sport on. I try not to read comments on X, but like that's really the only way to gauge if you're doing a good job or not. If the fans generally seem to say something on there that they like it. It has been overwhelmingly positive, the reception from the fans, but that's not surprising to me. When you have the NASCAR Messiah, Dale Jr. up in the booth, and you've got Daniel Trotta, who's an absolute pro, leading the pre and post race, and then Carl's just so excited to be back, so fun, and you could just tell. And shout out Adam Alexander, dude. He's really, really good too.
He's exceptional, dude. He's like I was thinking about this morning. He is a wordsmith. Like you got blacksmith, works with metal. He works with words. And his mind works so quickly, so sharp, and he tees up everybody to get the most out of themselves. So that was it was really good, man. It was really good, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Sad that it's over, but I'm glad to be back behind the wheel this week. ATL.
Let's go.
Mm-hmm. So we got.
Before we get back to that, let's talk about some of these videos Higgy's got pulled up, because there was some exciting stuff that happened in Pocono this weekend.
There was. Let's fire it up.
First one, this kid can't stay out of the news. We got Carson Hostfar about busted his ass.
But when people talk about a save, this is a save. Now, if the wall wasn't there, he's wrecked. But he still times his wheel, like as you're sliding, you're like, oh boy, I'm wrecking. And then to see the walls coming, to feel it, and then straighten the wheels back out is like, we were watching that in the motorhome, and Carl's like, that kid's got a really fast computer. I said, yes, he has a very high and fast processing speed. Now his terabytes might be fairly low in terms of memory storage, but his processing speed is very quick.
Well, he's just
right there in that corner, man. You're on the verge. You're trying to squeeze throttle, and you're really squeezing the right rear tire. And when it goes, she goes. And that's where Kurt busted his ass in qualifying. And that's a really fishy, hairy corner. And that was the save of the year, I think.
The fact that the roof flap deployed and he was able to save it.
That's when you know you're sideways.
You know that you're sideways there, man. And it shows too. People can say that Pocono is a little bit boring, but like Zane kept saying yesterday, he's like, dude, I'm about wrecking off a 3 every time through the tunnel. Like, it seems like, yes, there's long straightaways, cars get strung out, but these guys are on the verge of wrecking every lap, it seems like.
Yeah, you're edgy. You're edgy because the cars are stiff and low to keep drag out down the long straightaways, but that makes them drive really uncomfortable. This was an amazing shot right here of like how fast they're going, and just you're following the person in front of you, and each time you're going to get a little bit further out. The one kisses it here, the 22 hits it a little bit, and then the 16 punches it in there. But that was an incredible, dude. Just that camera shot right there is so sick. 2311
race, the Xfinity race, they did that, and they all just pow 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 pow. But the Xfinity cars are a little bit less durable, so they're just blowing the bodies off of them.
Yeah. 2311, man, the old break room's they're gonna have a tough couple meetings this week, because I think I explained it briefly during the stage break. There are 2 different types of rotors that you could run. There's light duty LDs and HDs, heavy duty. You would imagine that you'd run HDs, heavy duty rotors, at road courses, places use a lot of brake. They are several pounds heavier per wheel than the light duty rotor. So there's something to be said about rotating mass, because a pound of static weight is 3 pounds of rotating weight, of just in terms of overall mass of the car, trying to get the weight moving. So some teams, clearly 2311, elected to go light duty rotors this weekend, and what that does is they heat up and cool down quicker. So when you start using a lot of brakes, especially when you're in traffic, the brakes get hot, but then you have a 3/4 long mile straightaway, and they get cooled down to several hundred degrees. So you do that every lap, hot cold, hot cold, hot cold. It stretches and constricts and expands that rotor material. That gets micro fractures. They ultimately become bigger fractures, and they blow. They go through the wheel, and then inherently you lose all the air out of your right front tire, and then you plug it in the fence. Like we saw the 35 and the 23. Terrible weekend for 23. They had pace, but what happened to the starter in practice? Something went. No, something went through the bell housing or something and got it.
Yeah, I think it got jammed.
So they're going to start in the back anyways.
Tough start.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's a place, man. Pocono is a place where if I'm
riding in car here, he gripped down.
I'm not taking any risk on brakes. We've seen a lot of brake failures. Jeff Gordon probably being the most notable. I feel like I've seen Bubba have a brake problem.
Bubba had a large shunt into one.
43 car.
Yeah, big shunt.
But that's a place, dude. Longest straightaway that we have on an oval. and you got to get her woed up for turn one. And golly, we've seen some of the worst wrecks in NASCAR history at Pocono. So brakes are something that you don't want to skimp out on there.
Don't want to skimp out on them because then they will skimp out on you. And clearly, those rotor temperatures are hot, probably around 1,000 degrees, so it's going to sit there and cook some paint when it falls on it. What do we got right here? The 71. Oh, he blew a rotor about halfway down the straightaway. Was able to get her woed up and bring it down. Tough day for old Michael McDowell. Let's ride along with him here. Oh, okay. Interesting point for that thing. I'm glad it blew there and not about 400 yards later. Speaking of Kyle Busch, big crash off turn 2. He's in a bad spot right in the middle with the 38 on his door. Tank slaps it. Ty Dillon threw it, bent a toe link. A couple other guys. SVG had a tough day as well. Luckily, his ticket is punched. Here we go.
Yeah.
Tough spot for the 20 to be. Oh, boy, they're wrecking. Oh, and they get spun out by somebody. Noses it into the fence. Gets a little bit of front splitter damage for that camera. No, I'm not good. I'm wrecked. Damn it.
It looks narrow as hell off the tunnel turn there. It looks super narrow, and that is instant karma. You talk about Junebug, you get turned around backwards.
That's right.
Buddy.
That's right.
Racing guys will spin you right out, choke off your diffuser. Next thing you know,
you're backwards.
Calamity corner there, turn 2.
Tunnel turns real tricky. So that 18 is struggling.
I saw Randall after the race, and you don't know when you're on pit road, you don't know anything that happened. And I was walking out, and I went to give him knucks, and he punched my hand so hard. So, how's your day, buddy? He goes, it sucked. He punched my hand, and I was like, all right, buddy, have a safe trip home. Yeah, Randall Burnett, crew chief of the A car, man, they're going through it, and you could just read it on Kyle's face, and just man, it's not getting any better. But 1 week can change everything. Like I said, we're going to Atlanta this weekend, but before we get too far, Chase Briscoe's guys, we'll break this down in boats and woes, but saving fuel, he talks about it with us here in a little bit. I thought he was going to run out. What did you guys think in the booth?
So we were in the bus watching this all, and we're like trying to figure out how much less he had than Denny, because they were on a relatively similar fuel strategy, and he took like 2.5 to 3 seconds less of fuel. And how much? What's the flow rate per second?
2 seconds a gallon. So so it's 2.5, 4 to 6 gallons.
Yeah. So if you're talking, I believe that the transmission was the original one. Do you have the James Small radio transmission? I love that.
The best one.
Hang on.
Are you playing it? The best he says.
Do you have?
We're.
Did
you see? So they tweeted it, and it said, "We are F.
Yeah. ...
ed on fuel," and NASCAR Chasm says, "It could be filled. We don't know." Because the way that it worked out, it was maybe
Here, play that.
It could be filled on fuel, but that's that Australian. He's going to tell you, "Hey man, he's not going to give you anything good. He's just going to tell you
nothing good about it." And we were
Caution. Safe fuel. We are on fuel here, Chase, because we were not ready to leave. So we're just going to have to see how this goes and see if we can make it. Everything you can do to save here, though.
All right, so there you have it. They are not good on fuel.
And just like right there, we watched that in the bus, and we're like, man, that stinks, because we had him on the show pre-race, talked about execution. It's just those little things, that little bit of like remembering to go off his go on me. When they rip the jack, you can't inhabit. I mean, instinctually as a race car driver, you go when the jack is ripped, unless you have somebody.
I disagree with them doing that. I disagree 1,000% with them dropping the jack before the car is full. They're doing that to chase the numbers because certain teams get paid based on a performance bonus, and that ranks you where you drop the car, right? And when we go to Pocono, if you leave your car on the jack and then you drop it once it's full, that's 2 extra seconds added to your pit stop. If you drop it and you finish filling it on the ground, your pit stop is 2 seconds faster, so it moves you up the leaderboard on the weekend. You get paid a bonus if you're in the top 5 or top 10, depending on how contracts are structured. So that, to me, that is losing sight of the ultimate goal, which is winning the race, right? That could have cost them the race. So you're not really playing the game to win the race. You're playing the game to win your side of it. And I know that there's a reason they do it, but I wholeheartedly disagree with that. I might catch some slack for saying that, but I stand on that. I stand on that soapbox, and I'll scream it out. Do what we got to do to win the race, not to win the
pit crew
in
metric.
the meeting on Monday, the pit crew race or the ratings, or the numbers are whatever they are. We can make the numbers say whatever we want them to say, but only one guy's going to get the trophy, and they almost took themselves out of it. But thank God Matt Terrell is a dog and got that thing, enough fuel in it on the way out.
Well, Chase Briscoe also is a dog. Knew he had to make up for leaving the box early. Saved 3 laps, so 7.5 miles worth of fuel. And had enough for a burnout that we rated on the post-race show as well. So, man, so happy for Chase. One of the good guys in the garage, among many. But really neat to see him punch his ticket to the playoffs. In his first year in that 19 team, he said, man, we've got to win. That's the only way I can consider this season a success. So, glad he was able to punch ticket the old tricky triangle, and also glad he was able to clear his schedule to jump on Stag and Pennies with us this week. But before we get into him, we have a big show coming up too, because we have a NASCAR unrelated guest, NHRA champ Ron Capps, joining us to show. That was a electric conversation, so I'm excited for y'all to hear that here shortly. But before that, let's go get into pit road boats and woes. What do we got?
Oh, we got a lot this weekend. First one is the one that everybody's talking about. The 16 team is going to kind of miss his pit stall, go deep. He hits his carrier's tire, which launches that
way long
into the rear changer of the 88, John Patrick Keeley. Now, let's just say it, boys. This is the dog of the week, because I don't think everybody understands what happened following this pit stop. If you watch it in slow motion, all right, you go, hey, all right, he got hit with the tire, that's all right. But when the tire hits JP, we're going to call him John Patrick, JP for short, when it hits him, it hits his pit gun.
Yeah.
And it shoves his pit gun into his ribs, and it cracked 2 ribs and punctured his lung. You know what homeboy did? He finished the stop. He got back up. He did the pit stop with 2 cracked ribs and a punctured lung. He's still in the hospital in Pennsylvania today.
What?
So he finished the pit stop, comes out of the race. Cap Houston fills in. But for that, John Patrick Keeley, you, my friend, are the dog of the week, undisputed.
Maybe dog of the month. Potentially dog of the year running.
Dog of the year.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Took a tire to the chest.
That's what pit road is full of, that, dude. Pit road is full of tough-ass dudes like this.
Well, whenever he gets out of the hospital, we should FaceTime him. Is he in a hospital? Hey, man, how you hanging on? You got the reward this week. Let's fire it up. Get his number.
I thought about it, but I thought it might be a little too early, and I didn't know what kind of HIPAA laws we were breaking there. But I did text their pit coach and say, hey, is it okay that I talk about this? What is he comfortable with? But, man, that is flying tires are the most dangerous thing. The cars are one thing, but when these tires get going, they're 50 pounds. And when they get going fast, man, they are large and hard to dodge.
Yeah, because if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Well, I don't think that. I mean, that's the biggest woe of the day. I feel like everything else doesn't quite chin the bar. So what do we got here? Tyler Reddick, bad stop. Oh, and he steps on his fueler's toe here.
Steps on his foot. Falls down. You see the little silver piece falling between his legs. Everybody has these little buttons they put on the guns. They let you add or take off some pieces for your shuttles. So that falls off. It just becomes a big scrum. But the worst thing it did is it slowed the gas man down, right? Everything you're doing is trying to maximize gas. I don't know if Tyler was a little too close to the wall or if the rear changer just kind of rushed it and stepped on him. But all in all, the wheels get tight and they leave and live to fight another day. A tough day for the 45 team, though. It looked like it was going to be it was kind of keyed up for them to have a great day.
Yep.
And just all didn't come to fruition.
And it was not. Probably the biggest woe of the day is a 6-car leading the race, pitting when pits were closed.
And we just got a report. Pit road closed, and here's Brad Keselowski.
All right, so to your point, Adam, we were going to go to a replay of the 23 because pit road was closed. A huge mistake by the 6 of Brad Keselowski, pitting, pit road closed. Trevor, mistakes you just cannot make with track position.
race leader Brad Keselowski came to pit road while it was closed. Jeremy Bullins did not hear the pits were still closed. After they pitted, they thought they were just the only ones to take it to pit road. Then they realized they had a penalty. Listen into the conversation.
Not sure what happened there. There was a lot of people talking about coming. Head down, run our race here. A good chance this comes right back to us.
I'm gonna tell you this: we've all had our ass chewed before, but I have never had my ass chewed by anybody more than Jeremy Bullins. That man has screamed at me many a times, and he's a fiery competitor. I don't know who you put that on. I'd say that's got to be on the spotter because especially Bullins was down he was down even further than us, closer towards turn 1. He can't see the lights. That's got to be on your spotter to know when it's open or closed. To their defense, even though it's going to be hard to make a case for him, the cadence of when pit road was opening was off. And for the first couple caution cycles, we went like an extra lap or two under caution than we usually do. So the typical cadence of when the caution comes out to when the pit road opens, that would have been about right, but they kept it closed an extra lap. And man, Hocevar is behind him, and he said he pulled behind him, and he said, I was baiting him into it, and he bailed at the last minute. So
Closed. The red light's off. Stay out, stay out, stay out, stay out. Yeah, I know. I wanted to beat him. 10-4. I had to yell at you because it scared me. No, I wanted to beat him. I didn't want to have him realize the mistake.
that sucks though for the 6 team. If you look at the chart for this week, they were in the green on everything. Passing, speed, pit crew, they had all the things to win the race. And this is inevitably took them out of it. And that 6 team needs a win. They have the speed. They have all the pieces. It's just these little things they got to get through to propel them to victory lane and into the playoffs.
Yeah, we talked about it at length when he joined the post-race desk yesterday. The speed that the RFK cars are showing it's commendable. I mean, they had 3 cars even after all of that in the top 10. Career year for Ryan Preece as well, so it's nice to see Preece drive something with some speed and he's executing with it. And then Chris Buescher, I will continue to say probably until he says I'm hanging it up, that he's the most underrated Cup driver. Has been and will always be. Just solid, rarely makes mistakes, does his thing, hauls ass, doesn't piss anybody off, races the right way. So, yeah, Chris Buescher's a dog. Glad to see Brad rally for that top 10 day as well. Passed a lot of cars, but, it's racing. Can't make mistakes.
Yeah, when I look at this, I look at Chris Buescher second on speed. Ryan Preece, he was a little bit off. He was 16th on speed, and the 6 car was 4th on speed for the day. So the RFK cars are going in the right direction. I watched Brad talk about this week when he addressed his team. We got to get all 3 cars to win, and they only have 9 races left to do it. A couple good racetracks for them, but
I think the 17.
They're running out of time, man.
I called it on the show last night as well. Like the 17's going to get a win. He's going to. They're in a must.
So.
They're in a must win, but they will win. That's a strong team. I mean, we're going a couple road courses. He's a top 5 road course guy. Won Watkins Glen last year. He's always in the mix.
Unfortunately, SVG lives in America now. That's a problem.
That's the problem for everybody.
Because he just beat everybody by about, I don't know,
a lap.
16 seconds, and he gave up 4 seconds at the end, and he was just going easy.
Yeah.
They have found the balance on their race cars. You cannot bank on these road courses anymore because this guy, I feel like, is going to win every one.
If you don't spin him out, he's going to win every one. And I think that's going to have to be the strategy.
He did spin out this week.
No, I mean, it's a strategy. I mean, you got to spin him out, or else he's just like you have to spin him out probably multiple times. If you only spin him out once early in the day, he's going to come around and beat you later on in the day. You got to spin him out with 3 to go, then you might have a chance that he doesn't get back to you. That's the only strategy to not make SVG win a road course. And I don't want to talk about Chase Briscoe anymore because he's going to be joining us here shortly. We got our dogs. Do we have dogs of the week? There's only need for one dog, an SJP.
There's only need for one.
Mm-hmm.
There's only need for one. The one thing we talked about the gas, man, on the 19. I will say one more time, Matt Tyrrell. The one thing that happens, we saw earlier in the year. I think it was at Charlotte, when the car drops and they're waiting. The gas man is banking on him leaving on James Small and the crew chief, right? When they leave on the jack and they're not waiting for it, that is how cans get drugged down pit road. Matt Terrell took 2 steps with the car. We have the video of it. And he gets it, call it riding out. He doesn't get crossed up. His feet stay underneath him, and he's able to get that car out of the pit box without the can in it, right? That's the curse there. I was really excited to hear Fitzpatrick talk about him. He got to meet him earlier in the day. And like you said, the O-line, they were the O-line of the team. And that little bit of a ride out, that little bit of athleticism that he showed there is what got 2 extra gallons in the car probably and propelled him at least able to do a burnout.
Just enough. That's all you need. You don't need extra, you need just enough. And that 19 car had just enough. So let's go ahead and get Ron Capps right here in the Nonsense Garage. Start talking to him and see when Chase Briscoe pops by the studio. Coming up right after this. All right, guys, we're back. Super excited. We've been trying to get this man in studio for several weeks, and he's finally changed his logistical planning to come by the Nonsense Garage. We had to even kick out Ryan because this guest was so big. Ryan is remote from New Jersey, but in the Nonsense Garage, welcome 3-time Funny Car World Champion, Ron Capps.
Good to be here.
Man, thank you for coming in, buddy.
I'm calling my dad, man. I made the big time.
I don't know about all that. I gave you a little tour through the shop a minute ago, and I got a good picture. I sent it to my old man. You were on his phone, like feet up, kicked up on his desk, having a good time. I know you've known my dad for a long time. We were just talking about racing, but you've got a big week of racing coming up you were telling me about.
Yeah. We just raced Richmond, where it was like 1,000 degrees. It's still crazy to be in a funny car, knowing the track temperature was like 145, and you got 13,000 horsepower at your right toe trying to get down the track. And so one of those weekends.
How do you pull the reins back on those horses?
That's the funny thing. As a driver, you're like, I'm going to mash the gas as quick and as hard as I can as I'm supposed to. But you're looking out at the track going, how is this going to stick?
And you just see like heat waves coming up.
Yeah, you do, literally. And so you're thinking, your brain wants to just ease into it, but you can't because the timers don't work right and there's a lot of stuff. So we ended up smoking the tires at the hit the quarterfinals and lost. But yeah, so anyway, got to come see you guys, and then going to Indy tonight. Gonna run a USAC midget with Smoke and a whole all-star race they're having Thursday night. They're bringing Thursday Night Thunder back at IRP on
one event or a couple different times.
They have a 3-race series that they're already doing, and then they threw this thing in there. So Smoke and I were together last week, and now I can say Tony and I are representing NHRA, which is kind of weird to say.
That is weird to say.
But yeah, I've never seen him that excited. Like, he's super pumped to get in a midget at IRP, which is I grew up watching him, when he won, the Triple Crown and all that stuff. So yeah, pretty pumped.
What was your first ever Top Fuel run? How many years ago?
It was 1995, my rookie year, Top Fuel. Driving for a guy named Roger Prim. Had no sponsor. Came from the Prim family, Prim, Nevada, outside Vegas. They had casinos, and he just did it for his fun, out of his pocket.
What's changed in Top Fuel drag racing in 30 years?
Oh, kind of the same with you guys. Safety, biggest, probably. I drove Top Fuel for a year and a half, and then I got the call, Don Perdome, like, hey, kid, he's got his way about him. You want to drive a funny car for me? And I played with his Hot Wheels, built his models. So then I got in a funny car. And I'd driven a Top Fuel. I remember the first time they started the Top Fuel car after driving a lower class dragster. The engine's behind you. So like you and I were talking earlier, Clay Milliken, and I can give crap to dragster drivers because I've done it.
Yeah.
But it's behind you. And the first time I got in the funny car just to start it for Don Perdome.
Yeah.
They dropped the body and they shut it off. I said, I got to get out. Like, I was like
claustrophobic, holy.
Yeah, and then that engine now is like, it's where this table is in front of you.
And it's a 8-cylinder bomb.
It is, yeah. At that time, it was about 9,000 horsepower they were making. That was 1997. And there's that thing banging and popping in front of you is unreal. It's a gorilla that's mad, and and flames are coming out of the pipes, and and then you look down the drive shaft. It's about that big around,
right through your legs,
right between your legs. Yeah. So.
Oh my.
Yeah. It's not. But once you do it and you get going, you're like, not ever a dragster again. Like, that was boring, not having that in front of you.
A funny car's a real man's car.
Easy. Yeah.
Easy.
I used to, I've had Tony Schumacher. I've had all these great teammates throughout the years, Larry Dixon at Don Perdome's. And so I'm always careful because I start to give that, because you get asked by the media all the time, what's the difference? I go, well, to me anyway, it's like going on a trail ride. You're out with your family, you're on vacation, you're going to do a trail ride, whatever it is. That's a dragster. You try to stay on a bull for 8 seconds, that's a funny car. That's the difference. Like, you step on the gas of a dragster, not taking anything away, Clay, don't get mad at me, but you barely steer them. In fact, when I drove the dragster, I'd have one finger on the brake handle, and you could drive 1 or 2 fingers. You don't steer them much. You just kind of point it. You try to keep it from teeter-tottering because they're so long and skinny, and you don't want to make too big a move. The funny car, you hit the gas, and I've been driving 30 years in them, and you don't know left, right, kaboom. It never does. It never just goes down the track. You're even on a straight run, you'll have people in the tower or watching TV. Man, that was a straight run, and you're in there like the end car, and you're going like this all the way down.
So what is the difference between an exceptional funny car driver and just like a decent one?
I would think, because I consistency. Okay. I'm not always still the quickest to leave the starting line, but my crew chiefs throughout the years could always rely on me doing the same thing. They can take me out of the equation because there's so many variables. If you stage the car and you take a little longer to do the burnout, nitromethane as a liquid is so much heavier than any other liquid. So you burn 2 more gallons. So when you race guys like John Force, you get this mental thing of how long people take, and he takes forever to stage. He's,
That's the game, right?
Totally. But even before that, he takes a long time. So you want to wait longer to start it. You want to wait longer to stage. So you burn more fuel when you're going to run him.
Okay.
And maybe some other drivers. So, but just being a machine, Tony Schumacher always talked about it. You just take the equation out and do your job every time. It sounds easy, but trying to drive them straight, it sounds like that should be the easiest thing in the world, but it is still the hardest thing ever.
Man, I was sitting here thinking, not to circle back, but about you had a big shunt in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And thank God you're okay, because that was a big wreck. But the motor blew there, right?
Yeah. And that we weren't sure.
I'm wondering,
we weren't sure what it was. I know where you're going with this. Yeah.
In front of you, like with the motor being in front of you, have you ever gotten hit by like parts when they come out of there? What is that like?
Yeah, there's a video it's on YouTube. There's a blow up at Pomona, and it knocked me out. Back then ESPN did our coverage, and I had a in-car, and it blew up, knocked the body off, which isn't that abnormal to knock the body off a funny car once in a while. But my arms were up, and the wind was holding them up. But the safety device NHRA had shut the engine off, and the car coasted. And I remember waking up to a guy yelling at me, and it was a safety safari pulled up next to me as I was just coasting. But the helmet had piece of the supercharger in slow motion. You can see hitting the helmet, which is not a good thing. But
I'd say not.
Cruz Pedregon years ago in McDonald's car had a piece of blower rotor come off, and there's a picture somebody has, and it hit his helmet and veered off, and it took a notch out of his helmet. He was lucky.
That was probably spinning 10,000 RPM.
Yeah. There's a great picture, and I don't know, you see it just in midair spinning.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ron, I can't imagine. You're already at 5 Gs on your body, right? And then that thing blows, and you, like you said, it's in front of you. You're encapsulated. What's the compression or the concussion like when it does blow the body off like that?
Yeah, it's different. Sometimes it doesn't. The concussion's not as much, and you feel like it was. Like, I've been knocked out just from the concussion. And that car that day, I was along for the ride. And I remember thinking Force's accident, like it just started going the other lane. There was no speed taken off. Pieces of the body went into the parachutes, and it just all things wrong. Oh, no. And usually you're still in control. Like, I've blown bodies off, and you're bouncing around. You feel like you're in a midget. You got no downforce, and you've done some dirt racing. I'm going to get this thing stopped, and But that time it did a couple things and then went, and I went, oh, this is the one that's going to end my career right here. Like we'd already saw Force a year before, almost.
You had enough
thing.
time to think about that?
Just before it hit. And here's the trippiest part. So many weird things. Like my daughter's, she works for a dentist. She just made me a mouthpiece I started wearing.
Okay.
Force broke a bunch of teeth when he hit, so I was glad that was there.
From like jaw misaligning?
Yeah, from the hit, yeah. Whoa. So, and then
how many guys run mouth? That's a great idea because you can like wrench down on it.
Well, every time I go to the dentist, he's like, "You grind your teeth." And I go, "I drive a funny car."
Yeah, I go 340 miles an hour, guy.
But he's like, "You're grinding your teeth down a lot." So that is one reason. But also, come to find out, I didn't know Forrest had broke his teeth, so that was a good thing. But what ended up happening, which is scary, and I got to look at it, was the header, when it hit, it spun and went right into the cockpit where my feet were. But I must have flinched and pulled my legs up, as you would, right? You know you're going to hit something.
Yeah.
And had my foot still been down there, it would have either taken it off or
paled it.
It would have been bad. And the safety guys brought me over after, I got better, and they pointed and showed me what happened. And I'd never seen it do that. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, that was a little scary. So a lot of things could have gotten a lot worse there.
So we talk about you like literally strapping yourself to a bomb, whether it's a funny car or a dragster, right? Like, does it give any indication, like, oh, this thing's tightening up? Bang!
Well, that's what I thought he was going with that question was, a lot of times you're like, oh, there's a cylinder out. It's Sunday. It's race day. You've got to keep your foot on it. You got to get the round win, pedal it, whatever you got to do. And then there's times like that one where it's going along. We just won the Mission Foods race the day before on Saturday. We were qualified well. We were winning that round. Like, everything's going good. It's trucking down through there. And I'm like, this is going to be a good day. And then out of nowhere. So it's something, we don't know where it happened, but something went wrong inside. So there are times that you just have zero idea like that.
So a fellow Toyota driver, good friend of the show as well, wants to jump in here and talk to you. He had a big day yesterday as well. Let's get Mr. Chase Briscoe, winner from yesterday's Pocono into the Nonsense Garage. Chase.
What's up?
Hey, buddy. How about my friend Ron Capps here next to me? He wanted to talk to you. He's in studio hanging out.
I didn't even see him. What's up, Ron?
Hey, how are you?
Turn the camera. Moist, turn the camera a little bit.
Nice job yesterday.
To show him.
You.
So
Appreciate
this way.
it.
Now I heard Pocono's a good place to party afterwards. Is it still true, or has it kind of calmed down?
I don't know. I honestly, it was the longest post race I've ever been a part of in my life. I don't know what time the checkered flag flew, but I didn't even leave the track till like 10:15. It was a long one.
Man,
but yeah, they get rowdy up there, I feel like.
They were rowdy at the post race show. I'm glad you popped by. You actually don't really get a choice if you win to pop by the prime stage, so that's regardless. But it was really neat to talk to you before the race and how excited you were then to really put a bow on it and come by and toast to the fans last night was pretty cool. Is there any different feeling this morning relative to last night, or is all eyes on Atlanta just to try to go get some more points?
Yeah, no, it definitely feels different today. Yesterday it really never sunk in. Truthfully, I was kind of in shock that I won, just because I fully was expecting to run out of fuel, and I didn't go into Sunday. I mean, I knew I would be good, right? You're in a Joe Gibbs racing car at Pocono, you're going to be pretty fast, but I didn't think I was going to be good enough to win per se. But once I got the lead, my car just kind of came to life. And then I obviously knew I was going to be in the mix and have a chance. But once I did the mistake on pit road, I figured that was the end of the day. And I'd kind of mentally prepared myself to get my butt chewed out on Monday. And it ended up working out that I didn't end up getting my butt chewed out today. So, yeah, it was definitely one that didn't sink in until I would say late last night. And even this morning when I woke up, and Brooks was super excited and he had all these balloons for me, and was jumping on me in bed. That's when it really, I would say, started to hit me.
I love that, and I think you might have been a little bit hard on yourself because I was trying to articulate in the post race before you jumped on is sure, you made a mistake and left early, but when you're down, you're leading the race, right? It's so easy to just be all gung ho because habit is to leave on the jack. Cut the jack, I'm rolling, right? So if there's not that on me. Wait for fuel, on me. Driver instinct just takes over, especially when you're all horned up, ready to rock and roll and lead some more of the race. I don't think that was that big of a mistake, but you did overcome it and save enough fuel to get to the end.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a mistake. James had told me, hey, you're going on me the whole time. I definitely was antsy because I did not want to lose control of the race. I knew if you came out in second, the odds of you winning the race were slim to none, just with how important clean air was. So I was doing everything I could to make sure I maximized, my time getting back onto the racetrack. And I almost stalled at the previous pit stop. I mean, all but stalled it. So on this pit stop, I was going to make sure that I was not going to stall it. So I had the thing. I mean, I was rod checking it in the pit box. I mean, it was probably 78,000 RPM, and I couldn't hear anything. And James, I think, keyed up, and he was saying, waiting on me. And as soon as I heard anything in my ear, I just went. And then I realized real quickly that was probably not the right decision when he was screaming at me as I was doing a burnout leaving. But I just instantly went into fuel save mode as soon as I pulled back onto the racetrack, and obviously was able to save enough.
Hey, waiting on me sounds a lot like one lane when you're trying to race for a win. You've been there. We talked to you when you got this ride last year.
Yeah,
about 17 races in. You and James Small get your first win. James, very blunt and to the point. Is he Australian or is it New Zealand?
Australian, yeah. Don't call him New Zealander.
Super fiery. How has it been? How has your tenure at Joe Gibbs been so far?
It's been a lot of fun. James is definitely fiery, just super intense individual, but he is so competitive and just wants to win more than truthfully anybody I've ever met in my life. So yeah, it was fun to honestly see James kind of let loose in a certain extent last night and just have some fun and yelling and just joking around. But it was a great win for him. It's been a couple of years since, the 19 team in general's even gotten victory lane. So to be able to, win was, I think, a huge sigh of relief for all of us. Obviously myself going to a new race team, but, I think James and honestly the whole 19 team, there's a couple guys that was even their first cup win. So it's, always cool whenever you can get in victory lane, especially when it's somebody's first time or when it's been a couple years. It's a big deal to win these cup races. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Well, we got two Toyota guys here that are waving the banner. One on the NHRA side, one on the NASCAR side. What is it about Toyota and their dedication in motorsports, Ron, that really makes you feel like these guys are bought in?
First, I want to know: did he drink a beer out of a shoe? Isn't that like a thing they do?
That's not me.
Yeah, for us, it was like F1 stuff as far as the support around everything. We've never seen anything in drag racing like the support with Toyota. Like they're on the track giving updates, videos sent right away, just stuff. It elevated our drag race program.
Now, is this dumb question, or for the fans to know, is this friction tests of like active friction tests? Is this heat maps of the track? What is it that they evolved?
Okay. And they map it with wherever little bumps are. I mean, if the track has a small dip, like even a quarter of an inch dip somewhere,
yep.
Like Z-Max and some of these tracks, they have tunnels. It's great for the fans, but the track sags around the concrete tunnel, creates these undulations. And that is havoc on a nitro car trying to stick to the ground. So
do you put a little more downforce for that?
Yeah,
or like,
but
what
you
do
can only go so much.
Yep.
With our spoilers and the rules with NHRA. So a lot of it's the same. But for us, it's funny because the trailer that Toyota has, I could walk in there and see Chase and Denny and all them live action. It's crazy for me as a kid growing up drag racing to walk in there during the day. It's a race day for us and see all the data going on. And
so hang on a second. So your NHRA Toyota support truck is also running simulation.
Listen, Slugger Labby, we all know Slugger, right?
Oh yeah,
Slugger is we just talked to him on the phone coming here, and he, he got really into this drag race stuff. But yeah, of course they are on top of everything going on there. We can see pit box stuff going on.
Wow,
I don't know. I'm sure I'm supposed to talk about that, but
we could cut that out. We can cut that out.
A lot of stuff I never saw. The ghost car stuff that you guys use now and all that. Yeah, it's
SMT.
But to answer your question, our Toyota guys are first in the morning.
Wants to know is what does Gazoo mean? Yeah. We have no idea.
I got no clue what that means.
Came from. We got two of you here. Somebody explain it to me.
Go ahead.
It has
Chase.
something to do with the racing history, if I remember right.
Yeah, Gazoo's like a label, like you would get, high performance on whatever car company, like Gazoo and Japan is like, it's the high performance.
Okay, like
deal.
give me the gazoo.
Yeah, it's like, you know.
And you know you're going to be.
Give it the gazoo.
You give it the old gazoo.
It's like the SS's, you know, in the old cars,
Well,
or the whatever you want to put
I
on.
mean, your Camry yesterday, I laughed at the tweet you fired up this morning. It had the gazoo, but it also had the hybrid because that thing stretched 7.5 miles of fuel.
Camrys, man.
Did you reach out and
Works
press the
wonders.
little leaf button, or what? When the last 20 laps?
Yeah,
tonight?
yeah. I was going down the straightaway and I'd hit the leaf.
Like,
Did you not try to shut that thing off one time into one, and they were
Yeah, I
like,
did. I
"Stop
got
doing
yelled
that"?
at. Yeah, I did, and I got yelled at because I completely blew the corner, and I went slower by probably 4/10 that lap because the power steering goes off. You know, as soon as you shut the thing off. Yeah, it was a bad deal.
So, at what point in time, like, even down the short chute in between 2 and 3 on the last lap, you're like, surely this thing's going to run out, like, into 3. Like, at one point in time, when you see the checkered flag flying, like, I'm going to win this thing.
It definitely it is. So I've never been in that situation before where you're honestly like saving fuel, especially for a win. So like, you know, 2 to go, 3 to go, 2 to go, like they feel like an eternity, right? Like you're just waiting for this thing to stumble at any point. And then I take the white flag and like you try to not get excited because you're just setting yourself up for the disappointment. Like you know it's coming. And I got through turn 1. I'm like, okay, it's gonna happen getting into 2 or off of 2. And I get through 2, and I go into 3, and it was like this really weird scenario where I was like, do I finally just drive it in deep instead of like not worrying about fuel and just try to get around as fast as I can and just hope that I build a big enough gap that if I do run out, maybe I'll make it. And I was like, no, I'm just going to save again, let Denny get a little bit closer on entry. But I was like, but if I run out off of 3 and he passes me, like I'm going to be so mad that I didn't run it in deeper. So it was weird. And then I finally came off of 3 and you're still waiting for it to stumble. And once I got within a couple, 100 feet of the line, I knew at that point, even if I ran out, I was going to win. But yeah, it was just weird inside the race car, truthfully. Like you're just waiting for this thing to stumble. And you know it's going to happen at some point, and it never did. So it was definitely a weird just range of emotions for me those last couple laps.
Now, for the fans at home, there's a switch in the car. Do you guys not run a switch for your reserve pump?
Yeah, but it really doesn't, I feel like, do anything in the next.
Did you not? You didn't use it at all?
I flipped it on the last lap just as like all right, if it does run out, maybe it'll give me a couple seconds. But yeah, I feel like in the next gen era, it just doesn't really do like what it did in the old car for whatever reason.
But right before you jumped on, Ron was telling us some stories about, in those things, the 13,000 horsepower bombs right in front of you. And then when it blows up, you get hit by like shards of valve covers and superchargers. Could you imagine getting hit in the head?
The drag racing guys are stallions in World of Ponies.
I'm going to use that. That's a shirt right there.
That is a shirt. Absolutely. Can you imagine getting hit in the head by like a 10,000 RPM spinning supercharger?
Yeah.
Well, no, you run sprint cars, so you're familiar with getting hit by like objects that aren't supposed to be around you. Have you ever got hit in the head with like a big rock or anything?
No, my dad was huge on running a rock screen. He would not let me race without a rock screen. It can still happen with a rock screen, but fortunately, I'd never had anything crazy really happen in a sprint car. I had the drive line and the rear end hit the bottom of my seat one time and dent the seat, which was pretty terrifying. But other than that, that's like the only bad thing I've had happen.
Man, Ron is running actually this weekend. Thursday Night Thunder. Is it this week? Thursday Night Thunder?
This Thursday night, yeah.
Ron? You got any advice for him?
Really? At IRP or where at?
Yeah, they're running an all-star midget race at IRP.
Dude,
so I can't wait.
You're brave. You really are a stallion.
And dumb, right?
He's like, I don't know if I'd do that. Did you ever run any asphalt stuff?
Honestly, I don't have any tips for you. I've never ran a pavement midget before. I've ran a lot of dirt midget stuff, but yeah, I've never ran a pavement midget. I don't know. Go as fast as you can under control. That's my advice.
And pull the belts tight.
And don't forget to turn left. There is a left turn involved.
Yeah. 2 of them.
We were funny enough, man. We saw you on Saturday night. We went to SNS Speedway. Your old man was there. The entire 19 team, 54 team was there. I can't tell you how impressed Carl was that you didn't dump him. He said you were so patient, just like showing your right front in there. And you're like, if I was me, I would have wrecked myself. He's like, that guy's got unbelievable car control. I said, Carl, you're just old anymore. That was a blast to see you and your old man. I guess Mikey, Carl's son, spun your dad out, and Carl in the moment didn't know that it was your dad, and he was like watching this thing play out, and he goes, "This guy really knows what he's doing." I said, "Yeah, Chase Briscoe's old man is a wheel man. Like, you don't forget it." What did he have to say to you after the race?
The S&S Speedway deal, that is the greatest go-kart track in the country. I mean, it is unbelievable. I was telling that it has new ownership. The guy just bought it 2 weeks ago. I was telling him, I was like, dude, this is an absolute hidden gem. But, me and Carl I felt like one of the greatest races that nobody's ever going to get to see. I ran, literally an inch off of him for 20-something laps and got by him at the end. And then obviously my dad got out there the one race and absolutely wore me out. Could not touch him.
Well, he had big left for a drive.
He's definitely got a weight advantage on me for sure. He definitely had way more forward drive. He definitely put a hurting on me, which is just embarrassing, right? You always think you're better than your dad, and then when your dad goes out there at 50-something years old and just drives away from you, it's a little disheartening. But no, it was fun. Yesterday to be able to win the race and have him there. But then just to do it in the way I did it was kind of funny. He talked about S&S Speedway. Actually, he goes, I've been telling you forever. You just slow down, you'd go faster. And yesterday, fuel saving was kind of the perfect, thing, right? I started slowing down. I just kept going faster and faster and faster. It's the same as that little slick go-kart track. When you think you're going fast and you're sideways and the motor's screaming, you're going slower. But when you're going slower at S&S, you're actually going faster. So there's definitely a lesson to be learned there.
Don't let the secret get out, man, because you start winning these cup races.
Everybody will be S&S Speedway.
They won't even be able to accommodate all the people who are going to stop by there to try to figure out how to be a race car driver.
I told the owner, I said, dude, next year you have to do like a charity event or something with all the drivers, like have them come out here and race. Or I said, if nobody else will do it, I'll come out here and you can just have fans come out. And I'll race for 2 hours straight and just race people. It'd be a lot of fun.
You definitely would have carbon monoxide poisoning if you did that. You probably should step outside every now and then. Chase, I'm sure you have a busy day. I'm sure you got to roll with all the media and prepare for Atlanta. You got to do, but you were on the show earlier in the season before when telling us how this opportunity came about, and you just stressed, man, like, this is my shot and I have to go win. So now you check this box. What's the focus on? What's the next box you have to check to feel like you are chinning the bar with this opportunity?
Yeah, I want to win multiple races. That's something that I've never been able to do in my Cup career, is win multiple races in a season. So that's something that is really important to me. But also making a championship run. I told my wife the other day, it was actually even earlier in the season. I said, this is like the first time in my life I've actually felt like I could be a Cup champion. Like, just because all the parts and pieces are there, like the car's definitely good enough. It all just comes down to execution. And, for me, this next 10 weeks or whatever it is we have left in the regular season, it's just going to be all about gearing up for the playoffs. And as a race team, trying to do everything we can to just start executing at a higher level. It's something that we truthfully haven't been the greatest at. But now, hopefully, with a little bit more confidence and momentum, we can, start doing those things. And, definitely, we know that we have the car speed to be a championship contender. It just all comes down to those little details. And that's something that we need to kind of iron out over the course of this next 10 weeks.
All right, 3 questions. You've already answered them, but we're going to do a little refresher for the fans.
All right.
One car, one track, rest of your life.
Yeah, I think I've probably always said the same answer, but a wing sprint car at a Tri-State Speedway in Hopstad, Indiana.
It's not a box go-kart S&S Speedway?
That's for 2 on the list. I'm telling you, for smiles per mile, you're not going to beat S&S.
Off the charts miles per miles. Most embarrassing moment at the track?
Most embarrassing. When I won my first sprint car race, I fell off the top of the car. That was pretty embarrassing. Actually, I have a new most embarrassing. Every time I win, I don't have a hat on and I'm bald as can be, and everybody roasts me on Twitter. So that's probably the most embarrassing.
Well,
Call Joey, man. He'll get you fixed up.
yeah, dude.
I honestly, I did. I went and I checked it out like over the off season. It wasn't for me. It's too much work. I'm just gonna shave it eventually.
Do it, bro. Cue balls.
That's a bold statement, though. Like when you just go from having not very much hair to straight cue ball instantly.
I mean, the beard too.
Keep them on the toes. Keep them on the toes. I tried to convince Joey to do it. Next Gen Joe be shed the Y, shed the hair, grow a mustache, and let it eat. It didn't really take any roots.
The problem is like I don't even know what the shape of my head looks like without hair. Like I might shave it all off and be like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing?
Then you can still wear a hat.
I'm scared.
So I don't really see a bad avenue for you to do that. I think we should get the Bic out. We should do it on the show. Come in studio next week and I'll get some shaving cream out. We'll let it eat.
Oh gosh.
And if I had the Men in Black pen and zapped all your memory, and you only got to keep one racing memory, what do you keep?
It can only be a racing memory.
No, I'll open it up. Whatever you want to keep.
I mean, the birth of my kids I would like to keep, and my wedding. But racing-wise, I would say Southern 500.
That was a dog win. That was a dog win.
Yeah,
all right, bro.
Was a cool one.
Any parting words, Ron, for Toyota teammate?
No, man. No.
Okay, there you have it.
Keep it up.
Chase Briscoe, thanks for popping by and Stacking Pennies. Good luck. And I'm going to be banging doors with you here this week, so you better tighten the belts.
I know. Well, hopefully we're not banging doors. Hopefully we're not doing that. But hopefully we're pushing bumpers or something.
That's right. All right, buddy. Have a good day. Congratulations again.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Man, that was some great stuff. We actually have a ton more great stuff that we could fit in the entire interview on Stacking Pennies Performance YouTube page later this week, so make sure you go tune into that. There was some sick stories that he told us there. Do not miss that. We had a blast with the rest of that interview, so now it's time. What did you think about Ron Capps?
Some of the stuff they do, man, it's really cool, and yeah, you need to check it out. I was blown away.
Absolutely. And I was blown away by some of your penny for your thoughts questions this week. So let's what we got this.
Oh, first one. Now that Prime Broadcast is done, what will happen to the Corey Carl bromance?
I don't know, but I gotta keep that relationship going. I mean, I'm gonna call him every week, just talk to him, get some wisdom, some guidance. He's freaking awesome, man. He's awesome, and he's a unique fella. He's gonna be hitching the sail, I believe they call it, on his sailboat out of St. Augustine, headed up the coast. So we might have to try to plan a beach trip in the next couple of weeks if we go maybe to, I don't know, North Myrtle or somewhere around there. Is the old SS Edwards is coming up the coast. Might try to connect. Would love to see him. I would like to also take a winter trip out to Missouri. He's got a substantial amount of acres out there. He talked me into. He asked if I like to hunt. I was like, man, I've went hunting twice and I felt bad about it both times I shot up deer. He's like, man, you got we'll do it right. Come out and I'm like, all right, cool, man. I'll shoot something. That's fine.
Corey's hunting story is my favorite ever of our buddy Steve-O. Shout out Steve-O, that crew chief's butterbean now, covering himself in piss and going up in a deer stand and not shooting a thing, and then you walked out of the back porch and shot one and walked back inside.
I'll tell you, let me tell the whole story real quick. So we're sitting around, so sponsor of ours owned a hunting camp, like the log cabin, the whole thing. So we get down there, it's in Georgia, so we get down there, and we get down there mid-afternoon, and we just had dinner, and we're sitting around the campfire drinking some beers, and Kevin, the guy that owns the place, like, Corey, what time you want to get up in the morning? And I was like, I don't know, 8 o'clock, and get some breakfast, head on out. And everybody laughed, and I'm like, wait, them deer are going to be out there no matter what time we get out there. Like, why are we going to wake up early and be hungry? So I was like, Steve-O, what time are you going to go out there? He goes, I'm going to wake up at 4:30. I got my ghillie suit. I brought a bottle of doe urine, and I'm gonna knock something down. I said, cool, man, great. I set my alarm, 7:45. We get up. We drive on down to the diner, have some pancakes, some sausage. He's like, I'm going to bring you to my favorite spot. We literally get out of the truck, walk 10 steps. He's like, oh, look at that one right there. So I'm trying to like find this thing in the scope. Can't find it. He goes, no, not that one, dummy. That one over there. And there's even a bigger one. I'm like, oh, went down. I'm like, now what do we do? Well, we go get some lunch. So we got back in the truck, went back to the same diner, had lunch, go back and pick it up, threw it in the truck, went to the processors, dropped it off, came back. We were back home by like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Meanwhile, Steve all laid out there all day long, saw nothing but a skunk, and was pissed. So that is probably why I don't appreciate a hunt. It wasn't even a hunt.
Literally and figuratively pissed. He was pissed off and he was pissed on.
Yeah. So he had a much more intimate experience than I did. That's probably why I don't really that's why I felt bad about it, because like it wasn't really a hunt. It was just like a go shoot something and then go get lunch at the highway joint. Next Penny for Thoughts questions.
Ooh, next one is, how many shirt buttons are too many to unbutton when hosting?
I don't think any. We're sitting there pre-race, and I had the top button, not the top one, not like the where you'd put a tie, but like the one underneath that. That one was buttoned. And Fitzpatrick was watching from the bus, and he's like, hey, buddy, that's one too many buttons up there. You got to let it breathe a little bit. So I popped it open and let it eat the rest of the day. It felt like a nice balance.
Hey, that's great advice. Last one. This one comes from Whacker Willits. Hell of a name. What's the biggest high and the biggest low of working with Amazon Prime? What's the best thing and the worst thing, Corey?
The worst thing is that it's the second best seat in the house, because I think driving a race car is the best seat. Talking about guys driving race cars is the second best seat. I enjoyed it, like I said, much more than I anticipated. And the highs of it is really just getting to know everybody. Like, it is truly a community. It's a large community, and that you are in the trenches with. And what's also really unique about it, and good, and also potentially bad, is that there's about 7 to 10 people between the directors, the producers, and the talent that build storylines and tell our sport that we rely on, and there are hundreds of millions of dollars, $1.1 billion you're technically wrapped up into how fans consume our sport, from about 10 people's opinion. And it's super crucial to have the right people in that room wanting to all pull the rope the same direction and tell the sport, to be excited about the sport, to articulate why something might be a certain type of way, and to, I don't know, tell you how and why these drivers are badass and why the sport is freaking awesome. So, yeah, that's, I think, a really good thing, to be with a good team that has the ability to show the fans what we love about the sport in an in-depth way and potentially sway somebody's opinion on if the sport's good or not. And I think we did that.
Yeah, it was cool. What was your favorite, this one's for me, what was your favorite stage setup? What track?
I think Pocono, because people could come by all over the course of the day. It was stationary. The Charlotte pre-race stage was neat with people by, and we come out of the gate hot, and it was loud with helicopters in the background, bombs going off. That was really neat. But the post-race, there wasn't any fans, right, because it was kind of tucked away. But the Pocono stage was in the same spot. People were coming by. The energy was high, so I think Pocono was my favorite. The scenery at Mexico in the stadium was neat, but I love the crowd being around there. It gives us some college game day vibes, which is, I think, what people want to see.
Did you get any good or bad? I love Joey Logano when they were booing him. He said they weren't just booing me when I was signing all their autographs.
Yeah, giving stuff away.
They were cheering him, and they were booing him.
Yeah, that was cool. I think all the guys we talked to were great. We had a lot of great guests. Penny Stacker of the Week was a cat that I saw it, not a literal cat, a fellow human, at the stage on Saturday. He listened to the podcast, heard us talking about SNS last week. I said we're going to be going this week, He's like, what time you guys going? I said, we're going to be there about 6:30, 7 o'clock. He showed up, him and his buddies hanging out, brought the Marty Robbins, Corey LaJoy, Stacking Pennies shirt, and got to race a couple times with us. Honestly, forgot his name, so I'm sorry. But you're the Penny Stacker of the Week.
So it wasn't that guy with the mullet that was standing there?
He didn't have
the overalls?
No, that guy. The guy's like, will you sign my nipple? I said, absolutely not, bro.
That guy?
That guy. That guy was a hoss.
Dude.
Yeah, that guy was a hog molly. Not that guy.
He was there. He was there to drink beer and dip Copenhagen, buddy.
All of it. Yeah, all of it.
Love that. Love that.
What do we got for some shout-outs? RFK top 3 all cars. Connor Zilic winning the first time at the Oval. If there was a natural progression between road courses and ovals, Pocono's right in between. Pocono is the road course of ovals, if you will. So no surprise to me that Connor Zilic, absolute dog, gets that win there. Lane Riggs, Front Row Motorsports, laid the hammer down, especially after Corey Heim found another way to lose a race, to run something over,
New
flat
ways,
tire.
buddy.
It's unbelievable. That team should probably have won every single race this year at some point in time. Max Reese, 15 years old. Cookout fella. Just slinging some shakes this week. Attaboy.
Awkward interview. Great drive. Awkward interview for sure.
Hunter Smith, pit stop Hunter, his spotter. Shout out him. Isabella Robusto gets top 5 after Haller catches on fire on the way to the track earlier this week. Interesting. Austin Prock, John Force Racing, wins Top Fuel Funny Car at Virginia. 1 year after John Force's major crash at the same track. Shout out, John Force. That's the guy we need to get on the show. Are you kidding me? Imagine that. Well, we thought about some more once Ron Capps left. We need to set up a Stacking Pennies live on Thursday at Charlotte for 4 wides and try to line up a couple guys to bull with. That would be sick.
Absolutely.
Anything grind your gears?
Nothing. Ground my gears. I'm happy to be out. Oh, man, I'll tell you what. I got the old Montezuma's revenge. So that has been a little bit of ground gearage for sure. So a little bit of all the positive stuff said about Mexico last week. Haven't been able to trust the fart in 5 days. So take a little bit of it back. Still had a good time, but now I'm paying the price.
Leaking out of both hose, mate, eh?
Yeah. I know. You felt like a Daytona.
It's questionable. Questionable at best. Just like our show each and every week, whether you're watching us on YouTube or Tubi or listening to us on Spotify, there's really no excuse to where to find us. At _Stacking Pennies on Instagram. Tune in some content coming up on there as well. And Stacking Pennies Performance YouTube page, full interview is going to be dropping there as well. Spare Change coming Thursday. Appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Not only this show, but also on Prime. We're done with that. Now we're kicking this thing up, going to Atlanta. Another Echo Park breaking news. Got to get used to that. And some truck races coming up. So I'll be busy.
When's your next one, buddy? Have they announced it yet?
What?
Truck race.
Yeah, they announced all of them. Richmond, and then all the playoff races. Darlington. There's Loudon in there. Pretty good little schedule.
Nice.
It'll be fun. We need to get that hot rod tuned up a little bit. I think they are a step behind overall, behind Tricon and Front Row. If you look at their bodies versus theirs, a little bit off. So get the old Ziz wheel out and chop the roofs off of that unit, try to build some downforce in that thing. So, nonetheless, guys, have a great day. Keep stacking pennies. Keep tuning in. Give us a 5-star review, like, download, share, rate, review, all the things, and come check us out next week. You have a great day. Goodbye.